Hello, everybody on the interwebs and the digital awesomeness. We are doing good. We are getting ready to do an amazing interview with Timothy Dunigan. For people that do not know or may know about Timothy Dunigan, he played a lot of roles in the 80s, early 90s, and 2000s. He was Captain Power in the Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future television series. He was also Davy Crockett in the Wonder World of Disney, the original face for A Team, and a bunch of other goodies. He's now works in finance as a mortgage broker. We're going to talk to him here shortly. We've got a lot of news items. We're going to share a screen here for our website. Set this ready to go here. Got some new features here we're working on. Share the site screen there. And this is the site. We are gearing up to do some more development on it as well. We've got a lot of stuff going on with, so we can get this to go now. Oh, cool. Nice. So basically what we're doing now is gearing up for the interview. We got a lot of stuff going on with the CinemaCon that happened this weekend. It's all kind of goodies. Here's some of the highlights from the Sony panel. Sony panel is pretty cool. We've got, all kind of goodies. They got the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This is an article you can find on our site at scifiction.com. But Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, you had just tons of stuff that was broadcast out over the grid on the CinemaCon. You also had a Gran Turismo, some that were not sci-fi pop culture related. You had, let's see what else. You had, they announced some teaser footage for the new Ghostbusters film, the sequel to Afterlife that's coming out. Let's see what else we got. We got, we got Beetlejuice 2. There's a sequel to Beetlejuice was announced, which is pretty cool. We also got a Craven the Hunter movie and a new, what you call it, of course, you got Indiana Jones. That was featured a little bit there. Let's go to the actual highlights here. This is another website we're going to share here real quickly. This one is, Cinema Asia has a good article on this. Cinema Asia is another media site, but they have a lot of goodies. They got, of course, the Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse panel. There's the trailer for it. Got a Napoleon with Joaquin Phoenix. Equalizer 3 is part of the Sony panel. Gran Turismo. You got Insidious, a horror trailer there. You get the new Flash. The new Flash is heavy. The new trailer with Michael Keaton featured in it. There's the trailer for that. Blue Beetle, another DC awesome movie there. You've also got Hugh Grant and Timothy are going to join in Wonka, like a prequel to Willy Wonka, and the Dune 2 sequel trailer is out, and a whole bunch of other goods. You got all kind of stuff. Tim Burton's Beetlejuice was a sequel after 35 years was announced, so really looking forward to that. That's going to be awesomeness. And so there you go. So there's that. That was CinemaCon in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. It took place at the Caesars Hotel, Caesars Hotel. That's going to be super cool. We're gearing up to do a lot of stuff. We've been in talking yesterday. I had a call with some really cool people. We might be going to the Star Trek Las Vegas event, looking like that. It's going to happen. We're really looking forward to that. As you can see right here is an original. Let's see right here is that's actually the cover art for the IDW Star Trek first 5-year mission. They got the Zachary Quinto and the Chris Pine motif going on there. But in Alice, the actress who played Carol Marcus, so that's pretty cool. But basically the Star Trek event's heavy in Star Trek. It's got a lot of stuff that deals with of course the actors will be there, like William Shatner, Ensign Mount, tons of actors and people throughout the entire franchise, as well as a lot of the people involved in the screenwriting and visual effects and creative stuff like designing the starships and all the goodies and all the awesome stuff. You also have before that, that's in August 3rd to the 6th, I believe, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then before that is another event, may know it, called San Diego Comic-Con. We're looking at going to San Diego Comic-Con. I'd like to shout out to our buddy Alan Ling of Gen 7 Comics. And we're going to be going down there and teaming up with him again this year, having a whole blast of awesome goodness. And we're really looking forward to those two events. Before that, in June, we may be doing some filming or some stuff. May is just going to be mostly focused on the radio show and live streams. And in September, we're working on some stuff in September for you as well. We're bringing a lot of guests on the live stream here over the next few weeks, and we're going to be just having a lot of fun. As you can see, we're all the sci-fi goodness behind me, so we're having a blast. So so here in just a few moments, about 5 or 10 minutes, we're going to bring on Timothy Dunigan. For people that know nothing about Timothy Dunigan, let's watch a little piece of the Captain Power goodness here. So he was in Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. which was a 1980s and late 80s television series, amazing television series. Um, it was
Power on. Captain Power and the soldiers of the future. Earth 2147. The legacy of the Metal Wars, when man fought machine and machines won. Biodreads, monstrous creations that hunt down human survivors and digitize them. Volcania, center of the Biodread Empire, stronghold and fortress of Lord Dread, feared ruler.
So there's the awesome goodness for Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. I believe Timothy is on the other line here. Let's bring him on here shortly. Timothy, can you hear me? Let's get on his mic here. He's on. Can you hear me, Timothy? All right, hold on a second here. Let's check him out. He's on there. Cannot hear him though. Oh, there he is. Let's see what we got. He's on. I don't know if your mic's turned on, Timothy. You check it. Let's see what we got here. Mine's on. My camera's on. Let's see. Mic setting. Oh, you're on. Now I can hear you.
There it is.
There it is. How's your day going, sir?
Hi, good. Owen, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, sir. Doing pretty good. We're having a blast out here in sci-fi wonderland.
Owen, where are you located? Where am I talking?
I'm in Texas, in Lower Texas, in Laredo, yes.
Laredo.
I actually found out something we both have in common. We were both born in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was born in Barnes Hospital down there in the early 80s, really.
On Kings Highway.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I was born in St. Mary's over by the park there, over by Forest Park. Grew up in Webster Groves.
Okay, that's my parents were near there. I forget which neighborhood they were in there, but they were near there somewhere. Did you ever heard of a famous custard place down there? It was called
Ted Drew's.
Yes, Ted Drew's. They love this place. It's awesome.
You know, St. Louis is known for a few things. Number one, Ted Drew's. Number two, they're known for toasted ravioli.
Very cool.
Which is a deep fried ravioli. That's real big in St. Louis. And then the pizza there is different. They use a different cheese. It's called provolone. No, it's called. I can't think. Anyway, and the big place there is called Emo's. And Jimmy Kimmel he married a girl from St. Louis, and he hates the pizza. Always talks about it. But people from St. Louis like me, we love it. Plus, my niece married one of the Emos, so it's in the family.
Oh, wow.
So we got to keep it. And it's fantastic pizza.
One of your relatives was a sports broadcaster. I was reading about a little bit.
Harry Carey.
Yeah.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, Harry Carey is my mom's first cousin.
Okay.
Harry grew up in my mom's house in Webster Groves. He went to Webster Groves High School, gosh, I got to meet. I didn't see him very often. I met him one time. I went to a Dodger game out here in Los Angeles, and the Cubs were in. My mom, I wanted to kill her. She go see Harry, and I was like, Mom, I'm not going to go up there, Anyway, I went up there, and the guy said, where the hell you think you're going, and I said, I'm Harry Carey's cousin. He said, yeah, get out of here, And finally he went in, and sure enough, Harry had me come in, and he couldn't have been nicer.
That's super nice. He was a broadcast and did a lot of stuff with the sports and baseball and all that as well, right?
He's in the Hall of Fame. He was he was originally with the Cardinals. He got fired. Then he went, I think, to the Chicago White Sox, and then a year at Oakland, and then the Cubs is where he really became kind of a national, icon. And Harry was a character and great guy, and he loved my mom. He would always come and see my mom and her sisters and brothers. Always at Christmas, and give him a nice gift. And he was a very, very kind and man. And I'm very pleased that I don't live there anymore, but Harry's grandson is now the announcer for the Cardinals. Chip Carey, who came over from the Braves. Yeah. Last
time I saw a Cardinals game when I was a kid, you had Mark McGwire slamming them out of the home runs out of the park.
Well, those were good days. Of course, he was juicing a bit.
Yeah, it was the other guy who was competing with was it Sosa?
Sammy Sosa from the Cubs. Yeah. Those, I'm a huge, big Cardinal buff. My parents both worked for all the sports teams in St. Louis. My mom and dad were in the ticket business. My dad was the head of the St. Louis Blues tickets, and my mom was one of the heads of the St. Louis Cardinal football team.
Oh,
Now they're in Arizona,
forgot
but
they had the
they also
Cardinals,
work
both
baseball
football and
games.
baseball. Yeah.
They used to have football and baseball. Originally, they were in Chicago Cardinals. They came to St. Louis in, I think, 60, and then they left in the mid-90s for Arizona. No, in the, late 90s or mid-90s. I don't know. I don't remember. I wasn't living there. So. But anyway, this year it's tough to be a Cardinal fan. They're playing terrible.
It happens.
In fact, they're playing at the Dodger game. I'm going this weekend.
Oh, you're going to go this weekend? Oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah. I always go see them.
So you're in L.A.
I live in Los Angeles. I've lived here now for 32, 33 years. I've lived here longer than I lived in St. Louis.
So what do you like about like I know you were in acting, we're into your acting career. You've done a lot of stuff for about 30 years in acting. Living in LA with, the acting scene still going on down. They've got a lot of stuff. Do you ever run into buddies and say, hey, you may have met in filming or anything kind of crossover?
Oh, sure. Mainly I, as I'm sure you talked a little bit about it in our communication.
Yeah.
Mainly I see in those people because I do their loans now for the last 3 years, right. I guess I've done that. I've been a loan originator doing home loans here in the state of California.
Sure.
And, you do business with people who, and my contacts were a lot of CPAs and financial planners who handled a lot of actors. And so subsequently over the years, I've done, the home loans for, all kinds of people, Jerry Ryan, Peter Stormare, Elizabeth Banks, I've handled their loans. Now it took a few years to get, move up to that kind of business for them to trust you. But after 30 years, I kind of got down, I think now.
That's really cool though, because like you transition from acting into like loans, but you still work with celebrities. So you got the stock market's not that great now. It's pretty good, but it's not that great. But
it's a tough time in my business right now because we had years of artificially lowered rates. The U.S. government was buying billions of dollars worth of bonds every month. Now that's the mortgage securities are sold over the open market just like a stock or whatever. And what it is that they package loans, thousands of loans, and then they sell them off. And then anybody who's had a mortgage, I'm sure it's happened to you where you did your loan with Chase Manhattan, and then all of a sudden you get a letter from Joe Blow, they bought your loan and now they're they own the
head,
loan.
The manager of it or whatever. Yeah.
Right. They sell the loans, and that's how they make money. So in order to keep the rates low, and if you watch like the 5-year treasury bond is a good indicator of what rates are going to do or what's going on. What happens is when the stock market drops, people pull their money out, they put it into something safe while it's going,
makes sense,
with their bonds. Right. So usually when the stock market's having a terrible day, I'm having a great day because the rates are probably going down.
Right.
But what happened was, I've got a book of business, a book of clients over the years. Over the last few years, as a fiduciary responsibility, which with my license, I have that just like a lawyer or somebody else. I must do the best possible thing for my client at all times. Well, I would call on my clients and go, hey, I could save you, it didn't matter, $26 a month for free.
Anything's better than nothing.
Or some people, I'd save them $300 a month for free. It depended on where they were.
Right.
But I got all my clients down at 3% and 3.25%. Well, now rates are 6%. Well, so you don't have any refinance business. It's all purchase business. Well, what's going on in the purchase business? Prices are, I don't know about Texas, but in California, and especially Southern California.
Real estate prices are up. I know that much.
That's correct. They're huge.
Yeah.
So now you got rates going up. And you got prices. Usually what happens when the rates go up is the prices start coming down. Why? Because the banks, they want loans. Right. That's how they make money. You know, I always have clients say to me, "Oh, I try to get them. They don't want to lend me money." I said, "Oh no, they want to lend you money because they make a ton of money." I said, "They don't want to give you money.
They
Is what they don't want to do. There's
want
a
to
big
loan it with
difference."
interest, but not give it.
Right. And people, they don't understand. I had a lady once call me and she said, "Oh, my grandson, you did his loan call. It's the nicest lady." And she said, and he said, "I should talk to you about refinancing my house." I said, "Oh, great. What rate do you have?" She said, 8.5%.
I know.
And remember, when she called me, it was like 3.5,
Right.
something like that. I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, "Well, yeah." And then I thought, after doing this for a while, you learn I said, "Hold on. How long have you been in that loan?" She said, "Oh, about, I don't know, 15, 17 years.
Wow.
I said, "Ma'am, it would be malpractice for me to touch that loan because I don't know if people are aware of it, but over a 30-year loan, which most people have,
Right.
you pay the interest off first. So as you get deeper, deeper, deeper into the loan, your payment more and more goes to the principal.
Right.
Right. So what happens is now she's paying whatever a month, but it's all going to the principal. If I refinanced her at 3.5%, would her payment go down? Sure.
Right.
But it would be for 30 more years.
Right. And that's a long time.
So my job is not, any monkey can do a loan. I mean, I could teach anybody how to do and structure a loan. The key is, why are you doing the loan? What is the purpose of the loan? Over my career, Owen, I've helped people put their kids in college. I've helped them retire. I've helped them pay medical bills. Because out here in California, sure, it's very expensive. But I've got clients who bought houses 25, 30 years ago for $178,000 that are worth $1.6 million now. Right. So they're sitting on a ton of equity. Well, my job then is to change it's to maybe take some of that equity out, and now we contact their financial planners or their CPA, and we reinvest that equity into other areas.
So, like if they have a house, they sell the house, take the money and invest in something.
You don't even have to sell the house. You just take the money out. Let's say you owe $100,000 on your house. It's worth $300,000. Well, you could do a new loan and re-borrow that money at, let's say, 5%.
Whatever.
Well, if you went to a bank to borrow money and it was 7%, well, why wouldn't I just do it? Plus, by putting it in your mortgage, your interest on the mortgage is tax deductible. Therefore, now you take that money out, and now the money is tax deductible. See what I'm saying? Yeah. You've take that money out to buy a car or to put a new roof on the house or something.
Whatever.
But now you're getting a tax deduction by putting it through the house.
Wow.
So that's the part of the job, Alan, I love. I love strategy and working with financial people and building people's futures. I really enjoy, when I sit across a desk from a couple who's been told 2 or 3 times they can't buy a house, and we get them that house. And not only do we get them the house, but we set them up on the path down to good financial stability for their careers. That's as good as any role I ever played, because It's real. And I'm actually, I get incredible letters, emails from people who watch Captain Power or Davy Crockett or whatever. And they tell me, you don't know what that meant to me. And, that warms my heart. And it's kind of the same in what I do now. That's my favorite part, is seeing that I've done something to help somebody.
Right.
That's the job.
Matter of fact, I got a friend of the channel, Mr. Adam Atmore, said something he'd like to tell you. He said that he will just like to tell you, thank you for making that show, Captain Power. Regardless of its success, I was really into it. He had all the toys, the VHS game, and really loved it overall as a child. And he truly wishes there was a reboot or a continuation of it in the future.
Well, we tried. Yeah. I think I shouldn't say that. They tried. Roger Lay is the young man who, and his company, he and his partner, they bought the rights when the stuff went down. There were some problems that went on, and they bought the rights, and they have done over the last, I don't know how many years, 10 years, over everything possible to try to bring that back. And I've tried. They wanted me to Originally, they wanted me to come and play Stuart. They wanted me to play the mentor, my father. To play the father part, the mentor part. That when I was young, and I said, sure, I'd be interested.
Pretty cool.
It would be fun, It was let me tell you, Captain Power was extremely hard, difficult shoot. But I don't think I've ever had any more fun unless it was on Davy Crockett. I mean, it was a blast.
That was at the Wonderful World of Disney, right? That was with Disney, right?
Disney, yeah, I worked for Disney. That was a long process. I think they auditioned, I don't know, 6,000 people for that role. Wow. So I was very lucky. I was lucky.
Very cool.
I'm not the greatest actor in the world. I'm a trained actor. I was smart enough to know that, you wouldn't be a doctor unless you went to medical school. And I was, make a long story here. I don't talk about this part very much, but I was working. I got started performing in high school. Okay. I went to an all-boys Catholic high school called Vianney High School in Kirkwood, which is right near Webster. Anyway, I got involved. We were involved in some things that my friends were kind of getting into, the student government kind of thing. Anyway, one of the guys said, "Hey, we haven't done a school play in years, and I think we should bring it back." So we all said, "Oh, okay." And okay. Then some people, and they said, "Do you want to get involved?" And I said, "Oh, I don't act. I don't know anything about that." But I love the lighting, and I loved lighting. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a stage lighter. So I did that's how I got started. And then the show we did was really popular around the city. And we got asked at different high schools to go do this show.
You're like on tour at that point.
Kind of like a small tour, yeah. And one day, one of the actors got sick. And the guy said, because, I knew the whole show because I did the lighting. Right. He says, you got to go on. And I've seen you perform, because we would fool around. He says, you can do this. And I said, are you out of your mind? But I did it. And it's funny. I was backstage. I thought I was going to throw up. Honestly, I'll never forget it. I thought I was going to vomit. And as soon as I walked down the stage, everything just slowed down. And I realized maybe 5 minutes in, this is exactly what I want to do. Not only is it I'm okay and I can do it, I'm dying to do it. So that lit the fire for me. And I started, then I got a job at Six Flags over Mid-America. Okay. They used to do a bunch of live shows there, and that was a good summer job for kids. And I think we started out at about $2 an hour. I think that's what we did, 7 shows a day, 6 days a week for $2 an hour. And I'm talking about big productions. I'm talking about, you learn a lot being in front of an audience 6 times a day, 7 times a day, 6 days a week. Sure. As a young actor, you learn how to hold for a laugh, and where's the laugh, and what's timings, and all this. It was like going to school. Well, while I was doing that, a guy named, I don't know if you know who, Spike Jones and the City Slicker Band. They were in the 50s.
Band. He's Spike Jones.
TV show. Yeah. He had a TV show, and they would do crazy music with funny noises and comedy and things. Well, his son had a band, and they were performing at the park. And evidently their lead comedian singer, I don't know, they had a fight or something. Anyway, the guy who was my boss, a guy named Bob Cochin, I'm going to give him due. He said, I know a guy who'd be perfect for this. He works down the street here. So sure enough, he came in and said, go see this guy. I did it. I'm not kidding you. Like a week later, I was driving out. We drove to Chicago, did a show. I rehearsed like 2 days. Then we drove to California.
Wow.
And we worked at Knott's Berry Farm. Okay. I was 20 years old. And we would perform the opening act for whoever they brought in, like the Monkees and the Grassroots and Kenny Rogers in the First Edition and Gary Mule Deer, all these old and I got to work open for them.
The old legends.
Yeah, for me they were. But again, Owen, the key, I'm on stage twice a day, every day. I'm working, I'm learning I'm just picking it up. Well, I did that for a while. And a guy in our band got tickets he said, we're in here in California. He said, hey, he was dating some girl. This guy had a girl, in every town. He said, I know this girl, her dad works for CBS. He said, do you want to go see a taping of the Jeffersons? And I said, yeah, sure, that sounds great. I've never been. I'd love to see
George Jefferson.
how they film. Well, we went to CBS Television City. We drove up from Buena Park, all the way up. That's a pretty far drive. But we got there, and man, we got in, we sat down, and they started, it's a 3-camera sitcom with an audience. And so,
Right.
they tell you this is what's going to happen. And they do the scene and stop. And then, okay, let's do it again. And remember to laugh, and I'm watching this, Owen. And all of a sudden, I just think, this is absolutely horrible. This is horrible. I can do this. I've done better shows than this.
Right.
So right there, I thought, I need to go back to school.
Yeah.
So I called a guy I know, was the head of the theater department at Webster College in St. Louis, about 2.5 miles from where I grew up. One of the best theater training places in the country. They work hand in hand with the St. Louis Repertory Company. So, it's an intense, dramatic, classic training. And I called him because he had talked to me. I had gone to a junior college before that and done a play that there's a thing called the National College Theater Festival.
Heard of
Our
that.
play won. We went on to the semifinals or something, and it was at KU, Kansas University. Well, Peter was there, this guy from Webster, and he said, hey, you ought to come to Webster. And then KU offered me a full ride and all this kind of stuff, but I went with the band. So I called Peter back up, and I said, listen, I'm in California, but I really want to go to school. Can you still get me a scholarship or at least a partial? He said, yeah, you can. So I quit the band, and I went back, and I did my whole freshman year in one summer because you weren't allowed to do any productions as a freshman. You can only.
So they give you a scholarship for all that.
I got a partial scholarship and work study. Hey, I was just like everybody else. I had student loans. I had just like everybody else. But I would also, the problem was I got cast so much, especially I got cast in all the rep shows. I was the first student to get a lead role in one of the professional productions. And, so I'm going to school all day and I'm doing plays all night. Well, I'm missing classes like crazy. I'll just be honest. I'm sleeping in. I'm out till 12 o'clock. And then, of course, I'm going to the bar with the actors and I'm having a great time. But anyway, it all worked out fine. And I got out of there and I loved and had a great resume and went to New York. Actually, first I went and worked as a doorman at the hotel right across from Busch Stadium downtown, where all the teams stayed, and I earned enough money to move to New York. And I moved there and, all my friends from college, a lot of them were there. And we all shacked up in a rotten Hell's Kitchen 4th floor walk-up horrible apartment. And we got jobs working in coffee shops or waiters or whatever. And we started, you'd go on auditions. And I got one of my first audition, I got the job. I was a play doing Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which was up in Bridgeport, Connecticut on the weekends. And it was $100 a weekend, that's big money, man. I wasn't part of the union.
A lot of money, man, for back. Wow.
So I had a job. My cousin who worked for Sheridan had got me a job as a busboy at the Sheridan Hotel. So I had regular, just money, lunch money, And then on Fridays I would do that and then go to take the train up to Connecticut and then do the show and take the train back. And then Saturday take it up and I go back and forth. And while I was doing that show, one of the other actors got a manager to come up there and watch him. And so all of a sudden afterwards, I get this card and this guy says, I'd like to talk to you. And he says, I'm a manager. I'd like to sign you. And I said, well, I don't know you and I don't know about it. And he said, well, do you have an agent? And I said, no, I don't even have an agent. He said, okay, give me your number. I'm going to call you. I'm going to set you up with an agent. And I said, okay. So now he set me up with an agent. At that time, he set me up with they were called Hesseltine Baker, and they were big time, Betty. I mean, big time. And I was scared to death to go in there. And I walked in, and it was the two, Hesseltine Baker, both of them, the head guys. And they said, can you do monologue? And I said, and I was trained, brother. I said, what do you need? Classical? What do you want? I can do whatever you want. They said, no, just do it. And I used to do a monologue from a play called Streamers by David Rabe. And it's a very, very dark, and it's this character is kind of a naive soldier, and it's during Vietnam and all this time, and he tells a story about how these days, I don't know if you could do the play, but back then you could. He tells a story about him and a buddy. They used to go to these gay bars and pretend they were gay and get free drinks. And then the guys would try to take them home, and then they, tell them to take off, and they'd have a lot of fun. But then all of a sudden, one time, his friend says, "Hey, I'm going to stay." And he realizes that his friend's gay, and his heart, that's what this monologue was about. I can't believe I used to do it, but it was a really well. I did that, and they said, "Okay, thanks for coming in." And I thought, "Oh crap, that was lousy," And the next day, I got a call. Said, "Tim, we have an audition for you at CBS." And I said, "Okay." And I went over and I read for a thing called Greystone's Odyssey.
What is that one about?
It was turned into a show called Wizards and Warriors.
I heard of
it. I
this.
read for the lead role, Jeff Conway. Got it. Anyway, I didn't get it. But CBS liked the audition and signed me to a development deal. They paid me $10,000 to not take any other jobs till they found something they wanted to put me in.
It's a lot of money back. Wow.
$10,000? I hadn't seen $10,000 in my life. Well, let me tell you something.
It's like $100,000, $200,000 up front.
Taxes, agents, joining the union. I ended up with about $2,300, But still, that was a lot of money, brother. I mean, that was a lot of money to me. Well, 2 weeks later, I'm on a plane to California, and I was hired to do this pilot called Century Hill. And it was kind of a soap opera musical. Donna McKechnie was in it, who was on Broadway in Chorus Line. She won the Tony for Chorus Line. Richard Kiley, who was Man of La Mancha, he was famous with. I played his son. I played a young law student or something. Oh, and honestly, Owen, I had no idea how to act. I'd never acted on camera in my life. So luckily, there was a camera guy who was a hell of a great guy, and he would pull me aside in between takes and say, "You're doing this. Don't do that. Make sure you do this. You missed your mark. Watch for the light. Don't block his light." He just kept and got me through that because I didn't know what I was doing.
Man,
and that guy really helped me. Really helped me. And so then that didn't get picked up, but my agents said, well, they sent me up with an agency out here that was at that time called Jack Fields and Associates. And Jack was an amazing old school, amazing guy. He had been in Hollywood he was blacklisted in the 50s. He was one of those guys. He was blacklisted. He'd been around. Jack was a communist. Right. Jack had a picture of Mao over his desk. And let me tell you something. There was never a kinder, nicer, more wonderful man. I owe everything to Jack. And Jack, they started sending me out. And sure enough, what do I go out on as a reoccurring role on this Wizards and Warriors? That they changed the name, and that was my first job. I got my first job as a reoccurring character on Wizards and Warriors for CBS. And then while I was filming that, I auditioned for the A-Team. I got that. I was filming.
And at the A-Team, so let's get into that for a second.
Sure.
You were the first face.
I was.
The first face.
I was the
and
original.
You were the one that got him the jet. You got him the jet to fly off on the end of the episode and all that. Yeah,
we shot. We went to Acapulco and shot down in Mexico. And I got to tell you, when I got that job, I didn't sleep for days because I was going to work with George Peppard. George Peppard, I was a huge George. He did a movie called The Blue Max. I probably don't know it, but it's about World War I German fighter pilots. When I was a kid, I thought that was the coolest movie ever. And here I was going to work with him. I was a nervous wreck. And then T, who ended up just being the great. We shared a dressing room out in Mexico. Oh, my God, what a blast that guy was. He was the greatest. I just loved him. And everybody, Dwight, Melinda, everybody was – George was a little difficult. George was a difficult man. But we did the pilot, and I got back home. I was feeling pretty good, and I got a call from my agents. They said they're replacing you. And I said,
what was the reason for that exactly?
Well, you have to understand, Owen, I'd never been fired from any job in my life. I'm talking about dishwasher. I was raised by a family that's, if you got a job, you did your job. Don't be slacking. Don't be making the family look bad because you're a slacker. That was big in our family. So I always worked hard. And I was devastated. And they said, Stephen Cannell, who was the guy, the producer, wants to see you in his office. Well, now Stephen Cannell's got his own. Stephen's passed away, God bless him. But they have their own building. But they used to be on Paramount lot. So I remember I went over to the Paramount lot, and I was so nervous that across the street there's a place called Lucy's, and I went in there and had about 5 margaritas because I was a nervous wreck. And so I went up there. I was feeling, screw this, I'm okay, Anyway, he sat me in there. He sat down. He said, he could have been nicer, and he pulled down a screen and turned on, and it was the dailies from the A-Team. And it was the scene of me standing by the plane with T and then I picked him up and carried him up into the plane.
Right. So he doesn't like flying.
I picked him up and I carried him up. And he said, and he stopped and he said, "What do you see there?" And I said, "What did I do wrong?" He said, "What do you see?" I said, "Me taking," he goes, "Right. Who's the muscle?" I said, "T." He says, "Tim, when you stand next to him, he looks like a midget. Look. And he said, "And look at you. You're supposed to be a Vietnam vet." I said, "Yeah." He said, "You look like you're 15 years old." He says, "You've done nothing wrong. We made the mistake. It's our mistake. You just weren't, you're not the right guy. You've done nothing wrong. You did a great job. We're going to pay you off, but we're going to replace you." Well, what do you do? I'm as tall as I am. I'm as young as I am. The truth is, when the Vietnam War ended, I was in high school. So I don't know. Why did you cast me in the first place? It was the best audition I ever had when I went to network for them. I've never had an audition like that. Everything worked. I knew I had it. I knew it. But that really hurt me. That really bothered me and caused me a lot of problems as far as my confidence and all that kind of things. But luckily, I had good friends and good agents and good family, and they all got me through that. And then they said, "Just keep." And I'll give you. I will say this. I don't know if I've ever said this. George Papard called me, and I remember thinking, because I had a run-in with George on set. I had a run-in. He was screwing me up on purpose on a scene, and I turned on him and told him to shut the F up and stay out of my face. Because I'm an idiot. That's a stupid thing to do, but I was young and stupid. But I thought I thought that was the reason I got fired, because I yelled at George, He called me, and I'm going to tell you, he couldn't have been kinder. He said, Tim, he says, that's Hollywood. He said, "I was fired off a series." I said, "What?" He said, "I was the original guy on, I think, was it Dynasty? On Dynasty. Oh, wow. I was the John Forsythe part.
Right.
George. He said,
the era of Dallas and all the hit shows with what's her name?
The
lady
Evans?
The main lady with the black hair.
Oh God. See, don't look. I know I auditioned for that show. I don't know who was on it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm getting long-winded here, Owen. I'm sorry. And I forgot where I was. I'm getting old.
George Papard called you.
George, he called and he said, I've been fired. That's it. You're a great actor. You're going to do wonderful. You're going to go on. Don't worry about it. And that's the last time I talked to George. And I'm glad that was the last time I talked to him, because it ended. It made me feel better, because I was a fan. Yeah. So sure enough, not long after that, I think I did a couple guest things or something. But then I got Mr. Smith, which was Ed Weinberger's Stan Daniels, the guys who did Mary Tyler Moore, Rhoda, Taxi. I got a show that Ed was doing called Mr. Smith, which was about a talking orangutan. That's I know. Awesome. It was picked to be the hit of the year, by the way. And it was not. But the cool part for me, number one, I worked closely with two orangutans. The one from the Clint Eastwood movie, CJ from...
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, him, and then another one, which was bigger. And I had to go in early to learn, because I was supposed to be their trainer in the thing. It was a comedy, by the way. Leonard Fry, I don't know if you know who Leonard Fry was. An incredible... He was in Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
He was in Boys in the Band. A wonderful actor and an amazingly great guy. And we did 13, got bought 13 on, and there was a mechanical ape that would talk, and then the real one would come in for other scenes, and it was like a puppet. And Ed did the voice, Ed Wine, because he kind of talks like this, and so Ed did the voice, and there were parts of it that were funny, but of course it didn't make it, so there was another series that didn't make it. And then I don't know, like I said, I was the guest star king. I did Fall Guys and Murder She Wrote and Cheers and all that.
How was Cheers? Did you get to interact with like Ted Dancer or any of those guys?
Oh, yeah, I got to hang out. I mean, that was one of those deals, Owen, where I got a call from the casting guy. I think it was like 9:00 at night, and I'm watching TV, and he goes, "It's so and so," and I'm like, "Oh, hey, Randy, how you doing, man?" He goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm watching TV. Get down to Paramount Studios right now." At night, 9:00 at night. Went down there, bing, bang, boom. That was it.
Oh, you filmed that night?
We're filming tomorrow. We're filming tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay. So it was a small part. I got to play Sam's doctor in an episode where he has a hernia and he doesn't want anybody to know because it makes him look old. And I got one great scene with him and Diane where I set her up for a great joke. And it worked perfectly, and I was very happy. So, yeah, and I'm pretty sure I took some money off some people shooting some baskets there, too, as I recall. But maybe not, because they used to always play basketball. But Cheers was great. I would have done that for free. I just love being on the show.
It was amazing.
And Jim Brooks, just watching Jim Brooks work. People don't understand. For me, the most fun is just the rehearsing and watching it. Once we film it and everything, it's kind of like on plays. I always like the rehearsals better than doing the performances. I like performing, don't get me wrong, but I love that when you see, and all of a sudden you're working with another actor and it clicks, you finally find it and it works, and there's, you can't buy that, you can't, there's no money amount that feeling, and it's kind of that same feeling I get when those people sign those loan docs and they get their house and that's how it is for me. That's how I time together, I guess.
Super cool.
Yeah.
So Captain Power, let's talk a little bit
87.
about 87. So that was what year would you leave off at? What was it, 84, 85?
85, 86.
Okay.
And then 80, I was doing, here and there, and I wasn't working a whole lot. I was working some. I think I took a job driving a limo for a little while to make some extra money, which was, Jesus, that was terrible. Cool. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'll tell you a great story about that. I get it's a prom. Oh my God, these kids, I got all these kids in the background and I'm driving through, I don't know where it was, Canoga Park or someplace. And all of a sudden a beer can comes and flies out and smashes the front of the car. I look over, I see these kids, these kids throwing, and I stopped the car, at that time, I'm 6'5", I'm about 240, man. I'll kick your ass, I thinking I'm feeling all this. I get out of that car, and all of a sudden, I am surrounded by not nice, gangy kind of people. And I'm like, oh, shit, wow. I'm in trouble. And thank God Almighty, a cop comes around the corner.
Oh, man.
And I think, yeah. I go, yeah. Officer, yeah, let's see how smart you are. I started, and the cop pulls up, rolls down the window. He says, what the F are you doing? I said, this guy, he said, get in your car and get out of here. I said, okay, I'll leave. I was stupid.
Even the cop was scared, it sounds like.
Listen, man, you got to pick the battles in this city, right? Wow. But that was, So then, Captain Power, I got a call to go down to, on Hollywood Boulevard, right across from the Grauman's Chinese Theater, which is, I hated that because
which is like the TCL Chinese Theater or something like that.
I don't know what it is. I go there. I don't go there. Anyway, I went into this building and I walked in a room, and I'll never forget, up on the wall were all the drawings of the characters and the concept for the base and the dread. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this thing, you know? And I'm reading the script and I'm like, well, it's the lead, you know? So, all right, I go in and they're putting it on camera, which is what happens a lot if they're in New York or, excuse me, they were in Toronto.
Okay.
So I did the audition. I think it was 2 scenes, and I walked out, and I was like, yeah, man, I jacked that. That was good, you know. I felt really good about it. So I went home and I called my agent, and I talked to her, and I said, hey, Judith, I said, I think it went great. She said, it did, but you got to go back. And I said, why? Well, the film screwed up. It didn't record. I said, what? And I'm thinking now, can I do that again? You know?
Right.
Well, I went back, I did it again. It all worked out. They hired me, and I had 2 weeks to sell my, sell my cars and get out of my lease in my apartment and pack and put stuff into storage and move to Toronto. So luckily, I've got one of my best friends, Steve Fox, guy who's been my best friend out here for 30-something years. He said, you just go. I'll take care of it. And he did. He sold my cars. He did everything. He was, we're still my friends, still friends today. That's what friends do, you know. But thank God for that. And I got up to Toronto, and man, it was weird, you know. We filmed in it was like an old bus parking garage.
Okay.
That's where we were this big old empty, cold, dirty, miserable place. But the cool part was everything was there.
All the sets,
the miniatures was there. The sets, they built, the construction was there. The production office, everything was there. So you could, I could stroll over and watch them do the miniature computer, flying through the city and see how that was done.
That looks cool too on screen till this day, man. That's amazing.
It was awesome. And you remember, this is 1987.
Right.
This was cutting edge, man. We were doing cutting edge.
Your CGI too.
No other team, they had never done an interactive show. Right. They have never done computer animated characters. We broke all that ground. Yeah. That's why I'm proud of Captain Power, was we were the first to do all that. And all that stuff you're watching these days on those movies, that's from the guys who worked on our show.
What did they do with like the computer? I know like you had films around that time that were kind of not as much relying on that, but films like Tron and Last Starfighter, were they using specific computers that you may know? Like I know they used the Cray computer on Last Starfighter.
I'm not sure on that. That's kind of all I know is we'd get into the machine, put our hands and I'd say power on, and then we'd kind of and then they cut, and then we'd run, put on power suits. Okay, Tim, put your head a little this way. Okay, now your hand a little more. Okay, and that's how we did it.
You got to get juiced up with the power and stuff, and you get the suit on.
We never saw we saw the show and go, oh my God, that's what this looks like. We didn't know. Blastar and Sauron.
Right.
They were just like a big broom with a thing on top of it where you looked at, So for us, when the shows came on, we had never seen it either. Mm. So all of a sudden we're seeing all this stuff going, oh my God, this is great, and we were really psyched. We really thought, and then, then there was the toys, and it's 1987.
Super cool too, by the way. Super cool toys, by the way, too. So all that features, interactive stuff. Yeah?
I think so. I thought they were pretty cool. But of course we had one woman in particular, a woman I don't remember her name. I don't want to. She decided that we were, teaching children how to kill and how to, shoot things and kill. The answer was killing. And we're like, they're robots.
They're
defending human life. What's wrong with you? Today, even in today's world of, gosh, don't say that offends me. We could do that.
Right.
We could do that. I mean, I'm looking, the other day I was watching TV and I saw an ad for like laser guns. And I thought, that's Captain Power. Yeah. That's Captain Power. It's the same thing. But now it's all fun, So
I gotta ask you a question.
We got railroaded.
Yeah, but you did something interesting. A lot of my buddies my age have mentioned. There is a commercial that y'all did to kind of promote the broadcast. It was like this lady, in a kitchen, and it just cuts, and then you're transmitting in from like the future.
That was a cool commercial.
That was awesome. How did that go?
I think that won an award.
Yeah.
That was a super cool commercial.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I got a lot of cred out of my friends back in St. Louis for doing a Pepsi commercial. Let me tell you, for more than doing the show, they were like, "You are a Pepsi commercial, man." That's
That
like
was
my
cutting
parents.
edge stuff.
My
Man.
parents, after all the stuff I did, you know what their favorite thing that I did?
What was it?
It wasn't even me. The guy I told you about, Leonard Fry on Mr. Smith,
Yeah.
he went on Johnny Carson to promote the show, and
Mm.
he said my name. My parents thought that. My name on Johnny Carson, that was it. Didn't get any better.
Pretty cool.
And I'm like, I'm busting my hump up here, guys. You know, I'm dying in this suit every day, and you like Johnny Carson. Great, you know. But
Pretty cool though.
I got to fly him up there, and I got to, get him on set, and my parents, God love them. They, remember my parents were just, we had no connection to show business or acting, and when I told those poor people I want to be an actor, they Jesus Christ, but they always supported me, and let me tell you, that meant a great deal.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wrapping up here, we got a few more minutes. We're gonna put this on this
sorry.
week's or next week's radio show. This will be audio version as well.
Okay.
Is there anything you like like any links or any places you like to send people to find out about your mortgage broker or any I guess IMDb if you're active?
I would just say if you I can only do loans in the state of California.
Okay.
So the property has to be here. If you do, please, reach out to me personally. And I'll give you my personal email is the number 1 T Dunnigan, Dunigan @gmail.com. And as I told, and if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm on Facebook and I get a lot of fans, and I'm with the Captain Power site on there and try to chime in. And a lot of those fans ask me to friend them on Facebook. And I want to just to take this. I've sent out a message before. The reason I don't isn't because I don't want I keep that kind of just for my family and friends.
Right.
But that email, and plus I never check it. So it's like this poor guy today, I think he'd written me twice, and I wrote him back, and geez, I didn't even know you'd written me, and I'm sorry, because the least I can do is respond to people who are kind enough to remember my work and take the time to call. I mean, that's just common manners. But I also enjoy speaking to the fans very much. They're much more knowledgeable than I am about the show, number one. Number two is it just means a great deal to me that they take the time to care about what I did and that it meant something to them. They'll never know what that means. A lot.
Thank you, Timothy. I appreciate you joining the broadcast. I'd like to have you back sometime as well.
Anytime. Always glad. As you can tell, I'm not shy about talking.
That's all good, man.
I don't know
a lot of stuff I didn't know.
I don't know when to shut up. So don't be afraid to say shut up.
Well, Tim, it was a pleasure, sir. You have a beautiful day.
All right. Hey,
Power on.
Power on, man. Power on.
Thank you, sir.
Take care, everybody.